Hello, I'm Lise Colucci, and I'm one of the life coaches at queenbeing.com, where we help you to discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. Hello, welcome. We are going to talk today about acceptance. Before we start, if you have any questions or need any help with narcissistic abuse recovery, head over to queenbeing.com. Later on, check it out. Lots of information over there. If you need peer support, there is links to our peer support groups, like the Spanily groups that are out there. They are all linked over there. So go check it out. If you need help with coaching, you can reach me by checking out the main description of every video. There's a link to my coaching page, as well as a link to group coaching, if that is something that is more interesting to you, or more on the affordable end of things. To check out the group coaching. It's an excellent group that goes on continuously. So you can join at any time. And there's that. So, okay. So we're going to if you've not subscribed to this channel, please do so. Hit the thumbs up, and let's talk today about acceptance. Acceptance of what is. Okay. So yesterday we talked about cognitive dissonance, or not yesterday, I guess that was Tuesday. We talked about cognitive dissonance, right? And how when people are trauma bonded, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that goes on, which means that people have a feeling and a thought that is conflicting, and they're holding both, and it really keeps people trapped in the trauma bond cycle, because it's hard to let go, and it's hard to move forward, even if you want to, when you have cognitive dissonance happening, when you are feeling so drawn towards something that's bad for you and something you know is toxic, and yet even if you know you're not going to go back, you still have the feelings of wanting to go back, so you feel stuck inside yourself. So one thing that I was thinking that might help with that and help to move through it is acceptance. Okay, I don't know who's here, but hello to you guys. Say hi, keep chatting. So to see through that fog of cognitive dissonance, I think that the acceptance of what is can help a lot. The acceptance of what a narcissist is, what the relationship was, not just knowing it, but accepting it. And how do you get from, well, I know that, I know what they are, I know exactly what they are, I know what they're doing, to fully accepting that that is who they are. Hi, Robin. Who they are, how they are, and what actually happened is as you're seeing it, right? I think when you can get to the point of acceptance, that's when the true grief can come, that you can move through, that you can actually grieve something real instead of being confused and pulled in all directions and grieving at the same time. It's hard to let go when you're hanging on, right? It's hard to let go when there isn't an acceptance of what a narcissist is. So many people spend so much time focusing on understanding who the narcissist is. And we need to do that, right? We need to understand. But then there becomes this sometimes fixated thought pattern of why. Why do they do that? Why are they this way? I don't understand it. I don't see how people can be that way. I don't see how someone can say they love someone and do the things they do. I don't see how. Okay, so that is an acceptance, right? That is playing back into keeping ourselves locked in thoughts of the narcissistic person versus getting free from the narcissistic person, right? And there's, I think, a lot of things that go into it. So I have a list of stuff here I'm going to just read from, because I had to kind of think about this and figure this out. So, okay. Seeing what is. Number one, for acceptance. You know someone's been toxic to you. Maybe they just discarded you. Maybe you're trauma bonded and you know it. You understand what that means. You just can't, like, what do I do with it? What do I do with these feelings of not being able to stop thinking about this person, this relationship, all the hurt they caused? How can I get to acceptance of it so that I can move forward, right? And let this go. Hey, Karina, I got it. I said it right. So it's similar to the way you don't listen to gaslighting. You know, when you know someone's gaslighting you and you want to engage, hey, Belle, you want to engage so badly in the gaslighting because you want to be heard. You want to be, you don't want to be misinterpreted. You don't want all the stuff that gaslighting does to you, right? And so you want to engage really bad. But when you gray rocket and you step back, you disengage, right? You disengage from, why is my light flashing like that? Does it look weird? I know. Will this be flashy today? That's okay, Angela. Hello. So we're talking about acceptance. So when you disengage from gaslighting, it's similar to disengaging from further analyzation of seeing what is as it is. In other words, they actually did that. This is actually how they think. This is how they operate in relationships. This is how this person treats people. They have no empathy and they're not going to change. There really doesn't, I mean, if it were cut and dry and simple, would there need to be more than that? No, there wouldn't. But because we have all these other stuff going on, the cognitive dissonance and the trauma bonding, I mean, from far, far away, I can see when someone talks to me about their narcissist, I can totally see how that person is toxic, and I totally understand what the person is going through and the inability to let go of it. But, from a distance, we can always see how the other person can just accept it, right? It's not that easy. So the first thing is seeing what is and stop listening to the further dialogue that goes on in your head about it. It's going to be there because you've got cognitive dissonance and you've got trauma bonds, right? So letting the story run without chasing it, if that makes sense. Even if it's just in theory, even if it's just like, oh, I just need to see it for what it is. I need to accept it for what it is. Okay. Number 2, okay, affirm that you can see the truth. So when you are feeling like you are in question, why did they do this? How can I get it back to the way it was before? When you're listening to the cognitive dissonance instead of the logic that goes into understanding. So if you've gotten to the point where you understand what they are and you understand how they are, but you still can't let go of the potential that you see, or the fact that you think maybe love will be enough, or maybe they just need to heal, all the things we think, affirm that you can see the truth. You can see the truth. If you affirm it to yourself, then you're validating your ability to listen to your logic. Okay. Number 3, or let's not number them because I'm going to get all mixed up since I did number here. Another tip is make a list of the abuses. Make a list of the abuses. We always suggest this, right? It's for a reason. It's for this reason. It's to see what is anything on that list tolerable? Would you wish it on a friend? Would you wish it on your daughter or your son? Would you wish it on someone else? If the answer is no, that's enough reason to stay away from that person, right? So that is the beginning of seeing it as it is. That list is important, okay? You can also make a list acknowledging the positive of the relationship. And this one, be careful, could be a slippery slope if you are feeling really drawn to the positive. But what my suggestion is to then write down what the actual reason is that they did that thing. So, for instance, they spoiled me like crazy on my birthday. Okay, what was the reason? Well, they were trying to be the hero of the day. They eventually ruined the day. They made it about them. They took my birthday and made it about them by doing this. They then had something to hold over my head that they gave me all this stuff. Nothing is without transactional exchange with a narcissist. So even in the good, I can see the negative then. Does that make sense? And it's a totally opposite mindset of the way we function in healthy relationships. We're not going to be going around looking for the negative in healthy relationships, right? But we have to see that there's always a cunning motive behind the narcissist's positive action. So be careful with that one. But if you're able to do it, for me, it's extremely helpful because I needed to see that the positive was the worst form of abuse. It's what hooks you in and what keeps you there. All right. So hello, Kira. Christy says, that's a huge question. Someone asked me right after I was discarded. If this happened to my daughter, how would I How would I feel? It hit home. Still have a hard time though, but that helped. Yeah, if you look at that list, all it takes is 10 items, right? Any of us can get 10 items of abuse on that list. Seriously, right? 10's not a lot. All it takes is probably less than that, 5. So let's break it down to that. 5 items, 5 things that they did that were abusive. If any one of those taken singly was done to your best friend or your daughter or your son, how would you feel about it? Right? And now compound it over and over with how many times that one thing happened. They never listened to my side of the story and always flip the script. Imagine that 100 times over in a month, right? That's what you lived with. That's not okay. So it's acceptance of that is the truth of how they relate and communicate. And there are plenty of people out there who don't relate and communicate that way. So why do we need to put up with it? Why do we need to know anything different about them? We don't. We need to accept who they are, is who they are. When the thing is that the narcissist keeps you trapped in such a delusional world, right? They keep you trapped in their delusional mask-wearing world that part of us believes in that world. Even when we see, that's what the cognitive dissonance is, right? Part of us is believing in that delusionary world that the narcissist creates. So we do not see them for who they are. And what do you want most in life? Personally, I want to be loved and accepted for who I am. End of sentence. There's not really much more. Otherwise, I don't really need a relationship. If it's not one based on that, I'd have no time or energy for it, right? That to me is real, and that's relating, and that's connection. All right. Being accepted. That's not to say someone doesn't see your flaws. They do. They see them and they accept them, or they help to inspire you to improve the things you need to. You know what I mean? Like, that is seeing someone. A narcissist doesn't see you, and we don't see them because we cover it up with the cognitive dissonance, not on purpose. It's just the nature of the way trauma bonds work. So this is like going against the force of the trauma bonds to literally see who they are. That's the point. All right. I explain my ex as a difficult man rather than explain narcissism to people. That makes sense. A difficult man. Yeah. And they are, right? All right. Okay. What did I say here? Okay, stepping back from the situation. We get super close because we're in pain, right? It's just right up against us, and we can't see the forest for the trees. You know, we get, when we're trauma bonded, we're just so in the feeling and so in the emotion that it's hard to step back. So taking a breath, maybe meditating, doing something to help you sort of step back and get some perspective. Listening to other people's stories can help you step back from your own experience in the moment. Sometimes it's triggering and it throws you more into it. And sometimes it's especially if you hear stories that are like, say you have a narcissistic romantic partner. And this is why I love SPAN and my group, and the group coaching, because we have people from various narcissistic abuse situations, all dealing with the same stuff personally, but very different situations, which can help give perspective and allow you to see something from a distance about your own life, because it's not directly related. It's just similar enough so that you're not super triggered. Does that make sense? So if someone has had a bunch of romantic partners that are narcissists, but their parents maybe were just kind of, whatever, their upbringing, they weren't narcissists. But then somebody else has never had a romantic partner and they just literally are there for, adult children of narcissistic abuse, then you've got two varied situations with the same traumas. And it can be helpful for people when they watch each other and listen to step back, see their own situation a little differently through the eyes of the other person's story. So that can be helpful. Oh, good. You got it. Okay. All right. Okay. So another thing is, you don't have to like it to accept it. Acceptance isn't acceptance of narcissists being who they are and the situation being exactly what it is does not mean you're going to like it. You're not going to like the way it feels. when you accept it. However, the detachment that happens is from the acceptance. The detachment from the narc themselves is well worth the pain it takes to get through those few days or weeks of acceptance being painful. Like I said, once their acceptance hits, there's an element of grief that comes in, and it's not necessarily comfortable, and don't be afraid of it. Nurture yourself and go back to self-care and all of that so that you can get through it. Don't push it away. Let yourself grieve it, right? And get support, talk it through, do therapy or coaching, something that helps you move through the acceptance, okay? Because once you get there, and I'm laughing because I know once you detach from that, the trauma bond is like a magic breaking of trauma bonds. And yeah, you can be triggered back into it, and a Hoover can suck you back in, of course, because it's not only a thought and emotion, but it's also a chemical thing that happens with the trauma bonding, right? So, but getting back to that place of indifference through acceptance is, I don't know, it's been the most useful tool I've seen. Okay. Belle says it's very difficult to tell the truth about narcissists. Well done. You don't owe any explanations. But if you're like me, it's a way of being authentic and real. Yes. Hello, Violet. And Nicole, hello, and a heart to you too. Okay. All right. And Leslie, did I say hi? Hi. Okay. All right. What else? Give yourself some time with adjusting to the acceptance. Sometimes you just need time, kind of wiggle your way into accepting the truth. And a lot of us might be saying, I do accept the truth. Question it. If you're still attached, there's possibly some level that isn't of understanding or awareness or emotion that isn't accepting it. I've heard so many people say, I know exactly what happened. I don't want them back, but there's a piece of me that can't accept that this was real, or that can't accept something about it. So look for what it is so that you can work through it. I've been saying I'm in a toxic relationship. For me, I don't want to sound whiny and blame shifting. It seems more balanced, but I'm in AA and they are on alert for alcoholics blame shifting. Yeah. And it's challenging because when you have a narcissistic partner, it is one-sided. It isn't about, you're not blame shifting, you're correctly placing blame. And that's another part of the acceptance. When we take any piece of this abuse and make it because of us, or we soften it, we aren't accepting. It's a cold, hard truth that if you are in a relationship with a narcissist, and especially if you're a person that does your best to continually work on oneself and you're trying to raise your own emotional intelligence, but you are trapped in this emotionally abusive relationship, it is a one-sided abuse. Okay. It is a one-sided situation. You wouldn't react the way you react to anyone else in the world. Well, unless it's another narcissist, right? But there is no real relating because they are creating a delusional world and they are idealizing and devaluing based on what they set as the standards of how the relationship will function. There is no compromise. There's no we, there's no us. There's only me, and me being the narcissist, right? There's only the glorious ego of the narcissist, and that is it. So it is one-sided, and it is it's not blame shifting, it's correctly placing blame. That's how I word it. And yeah, most people won't get it, and we don't owe anyone else an explanation. But in oneself, it's important to understand that. Realization, I'm hoovered all the time. Narcissists still about and likely will be, but they still play the game. I never believed hoovering applied to me, but it is. Yes, you can be discarded and hoovered without them leaving. What happens is they detach so much, they no longer put any effort into the relationship. You know how for a while, narcissists will be like, sort of playing the game of putting effort in toward the relationship, or what looks like effort in, and they'll be wearing a lot of masks. When they drop the mask and they're just right out there being their ugly selves, but they don't go away, I feel like that is a discard within the relationship. Like they have gone to the point of complete indifference, but they're not leaving. And then they may disappear for a while and then hoover you back. But it's not It's not the love bomb and devalue cycle. You're living the discard Hoover cycle without them actually stepping out. Does that make sense? Okay. True acceptance was the longest, most challenging stage for me. Right? It can be. This week, Nicole is saying, I realized not only my parents are narcissists, even friends and partners are too. Isn't that awful? It happens. It happens to many, 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 many people that they don't realize it at all until they have the one that takes them down enough to get help for the abuse. And then when you start having a lot of self-discovery and self-realizations about yourself, you also start having realizations about the influences you've had in your life and the types of people you've had in your life. So yes, that happens. And I'm sorry, and it's painful, I know. Okay. Let's see. If I miss anything, you guys, please retype it. Okay. All right. Right. It is about the hormones being released, and it's not that you believe it. So we got to find other ways to release those hormones in positive and healthy ways. And you got to suffer the discomfort of letting those hormones not be released. Okay. Yes, it's cognitive dissonance, says Bonnie. I'm no contact with my mother and sibling. It's very difficult pill to swallow. It is. Okay. All right. So other ways to strive and reach acceptance, strive toward and reach acceptance are allow yourself to relax into the acceptance. You don't have to force it. You can relax into it, if that makes sense. And that is maybe a little bit of a mental, emotional exercise. Things like don't punish yourself. If you hear yourself punishing yourself for something like, I don't want them back, I'm so stupid, I don't know what's wrong with me. What are you doing? That's not good for you. Don't do that. Stop it with changing that thought. You have the power to change your thoughts. You do. It's not easy. No one ever said it would be. I promise you it's not easy. How's that? Okay. But you do have the power to change your thoughts, especially when you catch them. Sometimes it just takes listening to them over and over and over again to realize that you need to catch it and change it, right? So just take the word stupid out and say, I don't want them back. I don't understand what's going on. The I'm so stupid part's the only part that needed changing, right? Get rid of the judgment and stop punishing yourself. Stop punishing yourself for stepping in. The shame, the blame that goes towards oneself. I've done videos on that, but work on that. Listen to the beliefs and work on changing those negative beliefs. It will help you accept the truth of what happened. It'll help you accept the truth of who the narcissist is. All right. Don't react to the cognitive dissonance. You're going to have it. We all have it. We can all get ourselves into it with one or two thoughts. All right. We follow the thought trail down the rabbit hole. We end up in a deeper state of cognitive dissonance. So don't follow it. Let it be there. And what else is what I tell myself. If I feel the cognitive dissonance, I really want to text them. I'm really mad. I want to text them. How could they get away with that? Blah, 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 whatever. Whatever the thing is that pulls you back into something you shouldn't do. And what else? And what else is going on right now? And what else is in this moment? And what else can I do? So what if I feel this? I mean, it's like you don't have to have everything you want. Where I take myself. I don't have to have everything I want. What else is going on? What else can I do? Distract yourself with the and now what? And what else? And so what else is here, right? Don't overthink the bad stuff. That again goes back to relaxing. This is all about how to relax into it. Stop overthinking the bad things. Stop ruminating and overthinking on the negative things they did to you and how you feel about it. Of course you're hurt. Of course it hurts. And of course they're wrong, right? It's wrong what they do. It's unjust and there is no closure to it. But if you continually think about it, and so it's okay to, we think about it, we have the reaction to what we think, like, that was really unfair, what happened to me. I'm a good person. I don't think I deserve that, whatever. Or maybe there's something about me that deserves it is where we go next, right? So if we keep on thinking, we are again going down that rabbit hole. into the cognitive dissonance, into the negative self-talk. You got to lift yourself up and be your friend in these times to get through it and to find the acceptance. Okay. What are we saying here? Okay. Okay, I don't think I missed a question or anything, right? Yes, pets do help and show you that there is unconditional love, and friends and nature. And I mean, things don't have to talk. They can just be beautiful right in front of you. And how much love is in that, right? Hi, Gwen. Last night, you guys fought. He literally apologized for making me feel bad. And my 17-year-old chimed in about not being sorry for what he did. Oh my God. Yep. Uh-huh. They see it. Yeah. All right. So also with relaxing, don't try to let go of explaining the why. Why did they do this? Why are they that way? We know the why. They're a narcissist. This is how they think. Understand the whys of how a narcissist thinks, not the whys of the situation. You're no different than any other supply. Sorry. You're an incredible, unique, and wonderful human being to people who aren't narcissists. To a narcissist, you're just supply. And you're no different, and you are, in fact, you're just interchangeable. You're one flavor. So they have a whole pack of, fruit stripe gum. They're just going to pick one flavor or another. It doesn't matter. There is no personal why. What I'm getting at here is you got to get the personal out of it. This did happen to you. This isn't about you. Okay. This is about the way narcissists behave in relationships. They are toxic in relationships. They should just hang out with each other and have toxic relationships together and then leave the rest of us alone because they would know how to do this, right? They know how to make it about themselves and not be as wounded, I think. It doesn't really matter. I don't care what they do, but we need to let go of the personal, thinking that it is because something we did or who we are. It's not, okay? So when you're trying to accept something, it's almost like don't agree or disagree, just let it be. Does that make sense? Don't agree or disagree, just let it be. Don't agree or disagree with how they act or what you see. It just is. That's what I saw. It's a kind of black and white way of thinking about it, but it's more like a narrow way of thinking about it. And it can be necessary because they behave black and white and narrowly. We don't. So you kind of got to put yourself in that mindset to understand it. All right. Another tip is remember that you are doing this for yourself. You're accepting for yourself. You're not there to forgive them. It's not about forgiveness. This is about acceptance. Acceptance of what is and what was and how it was or is. All right. Okay. All right. Let's see. And okay, another thing to remember here when you're thinking of acceptance, you're like, why would I do that? Or what's the point or whatever? Understand that there's a very good outcome at the end of acceptance. That's the breaking of trauma bonds. Remember what it felt like to not have your every thought revolve around this person and how free that felt? What's that? But it's like way bigger because now you felt what prison feels like and you felt what the trap feels like. So it is, so good, Katie. It is important to remember that something very, very good will come from this acceptance, even when you're fighting it. Even when you're like, but what about this? Oh, it's my fault, whatever. Even when you're fighting it, it is, right? Acceptance is the key. And it's hard to teach it, like how to do it. So I'm trying to give as many ideas as I can here. I have a whole nother page, so let's keep going. Learn from the relationship things that help you to evolve. Learning from what the things that happen, if you can take those things and plant little seeds for your own evolution and your own thriving, then you can accept that it happened because now you have grown something from it, right? Okay. It's really painful when it's your own mother. Okay. It's hard to wrap your mind around it. Okay, Bonnie, and with the acceptance there, what I would say is the emotions and the acceptance are separate. Accepting what is going to be painful, no matter who it is. It's going to be painful. It is, like I said in the beginning, once you start getting toward that acceptance, like fully accepting it, the grief changes and it becomes more cathartic rather than like a endless loop of grieving. It allows you to move through the grief. It allows you to move through the process that you need to move through in order to heal. And it allows you to detach it from having any significance about your own self-worth. So I would encourage you to try any of these steps or any of these suggestions, and just pondering what acceptance is and what it means, and finding examples of things you've learned to let go of and accept in your life so that you can see you can do it. You can totally do it. All right. Seeing the patterns. Oh, here first I said separate your thinking from how a narcissist thinks. In other words, we don't think the same. We don't feel the same. They have feelings, sure, but they don't have empathy. All right. Feelings without empathy are self-directed feelings. Feelings with empathy are self-directed and others-directed. It's a blending of me and society, of what is out there and what is within. Without empathy, it's all self-directed, right? We think completely differently. We feel completely differently, and we react to our feelings completely differently. Narcissistic people and non-narcissistic people. Separate yourself. You can't understand it. You can't understand narcissism from a place of empathy, because all you'll be doing is looking for the potential and the reasons they got that way, and what could have helped them in the beginning. You'll be looking for excuses and reasons. Separate from it. They are see them separately. They think differently. Understand that. That is part of acceptance. Okay. Okay. Anything here that is all right. Team Tiger. I like that you still say that. Okay. All right. See the patterns. See the patterns that are happening. That can help you. Hey, Jack. The patterns that are happening that you saw happen. See the patterns, how they keep doing the same thing in the future. Seeing the patterns can help you see that it is just patterns. It isn't about you, and you can accept the truth a little more. All right. Accept that we all have flaws. You are not perfect, and you didn't let this happen. Sometimes the acceptance can be not accepting oneself. It's not about some people totally accept that the narcissist is who they are. What they don't accept is the fact that they also participated in it. And by that, I mean, we're trauma bonded and participating sort of under hypnosis, so to speak, or under, what is the word? Under a spell of the narcissistic trap, right? But they start self-criticizing and self-judging and taking the blame for what happened to them, which is really victim shaming, right? Instead of accepting that there are things about oneself that now, moving forward, you can be aware of and heal in oneself so that you're not as susceptible to being with narcissistic people. Hey, Sunny. But it's accepting that, no, we're not perfect going into this. And yes, there are vulnerabilities we have that happen, but it's not a blame of it. It's just accepting that that's true. Does that make sense? It's like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, I totally see where my abandonment stuff, totally, that was it. That was the hook. I'm not blaming myself for it. I'm not blaming the situation that created it for it. I'm just accepting it. Okay. What are we saying? Violet says false pretenses. I don't know what I said when you said that. Forgiving myself is hard. I bought into this. You did not buy into this. You were groomed into it. It is different. It's different. You weren't shown they didn't come out and be like, hey, shut up, stupid, love me, or whatever they did to you, right? They didn't come out and like take you on a date and gaslight you and make you feel like an idiot and make you feel devalued and worthless. They groomed you. You didn't buy into it. You were lured, baited, groomed, and bonded through trauma. They found your vulnerabilities. They manipulated it. They made you feel safe in a weird way and anxious in another way. They created the push-pull. They created the whole dynamic is a manipulation tactic to keep people in their lives. And they do a lot of it on purpose, whether they know it or not. Does that make sense? They know that they don't know that it's manipulation sometimes, but they know exactly what they're doing. They know their pattern of behavior and that it works. So you didn't understanding that and accepting that, you know what, you're no different from any other of us, Katie. We all bought into it. We didn't buy into it. We were, it was taken. Right? Okay. Hard to accept who I am now. I'm okay with it, but are others? And does it matter? No, but easier said than done. It is easier said than done. That's why I have a whole bunch of tips here on acceptance. A lot of it is about accepting that the narcissist is what they are, but you can apply any of it to any kind of acceptance that you need to have in your life. All right. Lured. Yes, lured. Not only lured, you were lured, then you were groomed. And I have a whole video on grooming. Go watch it because that's it. All right. He promised so much and vowed he was honest and trustworthy. Now doing same to new supply. How do I get it through my head? He can't love anyone. Acceptance. Look at the patterns. Look at the behaviors. Understand what a narcissist is. And the tips that go back and watch the beginning because I have a whole bunch of tips to start this on how to accept what's going on. And see if any of that helps and just start playing with it, play with the ideas, maybe jot them down and play with it and see if it helps. Talking it through again, this is another place where I like the group coaching because you just get lots of examples, plus you get the one-on-one time. And I don't know, this is another topic where I feel like it is helpful. So if you need that, there's that. And okay, so let's keep going on the how. How do you accept it? How do you get it in your head they can't love anyone? You understand that they think they are loving. All right? They think differently. When someone doesn't have empathy, I'll repeat it. When someone doesn't have empathy, their emotions that they feel, it may feel like love to them, okay? So there may be honesty and truth in their eyes. I love you, or in their narc eyes, so it'd be more cold, I love you, whatever. But I can't do narc eyes. Too expressive of eyes. I try, but they don't work. Anyway, that is only, it's a self-reflected, a self-focused emotion because they don't have empathy, so they don't blend their emotion with the experience of other people. It's all self. So how can they love truly anyone? What they do is they love the way someone makes them feel. They love the way someone looks. They love the things you do for them. They love the way they can control you. They love the way you worship and adore them. They love all of the stuff and what they get from it. So sure, they love you like that. Okay. What we want is acceptance for who we are, right? That's love. Okay. They can't fake empathy eyes. No, even when they try. Okay. Last night my husband made dinner. I was talking on the phone. He kept yelling at me. The dinner was ready. It wasn't. So I held off. Why do I feel guilty? Because you're not detaching and you're playing into the relationship. You're not detaching from